Call the meeting to order. It helps. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the City of DeKalb Planning and Zoning Commission to order on Monday, July 18th at 6 p.m. If clerk, please call the roll.
Becker.
Here.
O'Flaherty. Here. Pena Graham.
Here.
Stoker.
Here.
Wright. Maxwell. Vice Chair McMahon.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. At this point of the meeting, I'm going to ask for approval of the agenda. If there are any additions or deletions, but I need an approval of the agenda to continue.
I move to approve the agenda.
We have a motion to approve the agenda as submitted by Stoker. Is there a second?
I second.
And a second by Trixie. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right. At this point, I need to ask for an approval of the minutes from the prior meeting, the June 21st meeting. So can I get an approval from the minutes from the prior meeting?
I move to accept them as presented.
We have a motion on the floor from Becker to accept the minutes from the prior meeting as presented. Is there a second?
A second.
And there's a second by Penagram. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, the minutes are approved, the agenda's approved. At this point in the meeting, we have the public participation portion of the meeting. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to talk to about something that is not on the agenda for this evening, you're welcome to do so at this point. If so, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. And if there's nobody here to talk about something that's not on the agenda for tonight, we can move on to new business. So the first item of new business that we have on the agenda is a public hearing. It's a petition by DeKalb CUST District 428 for the approval of the amendment of the final plan of the Bridges of River Mist Phase 2, approved by Ordinance 97-110 to allow a modular classroom on the Gwendolyn Brooks Elementary School site located at 3225 Sangamon Road. Is there a petitioner from the audience that wants to come to the podium and speak? If you could state your name and your address for the record, please.
My name is Tammy Carson. I'm the Director of Facility and Safety Operations for DeKalb School District. My address is 8704 Sunset Drive in Byron, Illinois.
Thank you.
What we're petitioning is to add a modular classroom unit to Brooks Elementary. It would be located on the south side of the building on a blacktop playground area. There's a large blacktop playground area. The purpose is because we need to add an intensive classroom inside of the building, and we do not have the space for it. This will then move, what we would be doing is putting an intensive class where currently our music room is located, and our music classroom would be moved out to one side of the mobile classroom. That's what we have done on other times with mobile classrooms that we've had to put around the district. We put music on one side and typically a media center on the other side. At this point, we're not looking to put the media center on the other side. That would be used at this point. The plan is just for storage because we don't have a use at this point for the other side of that mobile classroom. If approved, we would be moving forward and putting this in place for the 2022-23 school year. And there are discussions already with the school district on ways to reduce class size in the future and how then we can be eliminating the mobiles that we have across our district. But at this point, we're asking for a 3-year approval.
Thank you, Tammy. Is there a staff report to follow?
Yes, I have a brief staff report in your packets. Tammy went over the request, why they need the modular classroom. So in 1997, there was a final plan approved for Brooks School that showed pretty much what they constructed out there. So any amendment to that, any change, like adding a modular classroom, would require a public hearing. So that's what's happened. You have the background material in your packet. It was noted the moving the music room or activities to that modular classroom. It's going to be located just south of the building, circled there in red. On the hard surface playground, it's not taking up any parking spaces. With the additional classroom, they still have plenty of parking out there. There's currently 106 parking spaces, including 5 handicap. With the additional classroom, there's 64 required spaces, so there's plenty of parking still out there. It's farthest away from the residents to the north, behind the building, quite a distance to any homes to the west. There was detail in your packet on the modular classroom. This is one at Little John School, but it looked very similar to this one in the image. And they're currently parked out there in the parking lot. They're just waiting for approval so they can place it at the location noted. So we've approved other modular classrooms, other locations, other schools, Tyler, Clinton, Rosette. Most recently, Little John School. Maybe if you remember, we did a original one there. And then in 2020, they had an amendment to add 3 more years to that. So we did, that's the proposal by the school district is for 3 years, and that's a recommendation as a condition of approval. We did get a few public comments. That's looking from the parking lot west to show roughly where the modular classroom would be here. I marked an aerial just showing the location of the residents who commented. We got a public response form from Edward Bosick of 544 Catherine and Eileen Bosick Living Trust of 550 Catherine, noting they do not support the request. The written comments were pretty much asking about the storage in the interim basis of the modular classroom, which they've been in the parking lot here. And that's pretty much what they were commenting about. We also received a form from Cynthia Haddad, H-A-D-A-D, from 648 Sterling Court. She indicated her support for the request. And she lives, you can see her name here, so, and the Bosicks are here. We didn't receive any other comments from the public during the hearing opening. So staff would recommend approval of the request, subject one condition, that it be up for 3 years. If it goes beyond that, they'd have to come back and do an amendment, have another hearing. So we'd recommend approval subject to Exhibit A with that one condition.
Thank you, Dan. Does anybody have any questions for the petitioner or for Dan?
So just on this map, that's on the screen right now, the classroom will be on the back, right? Yeah, so it's not towards the complainants.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, seeing no questions or no discussion, does anybody want to make a motion on this item?
I will.
Go ahead.
Based on the submitted petition and testimony presented, I move the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend to the City Council approval of an amendment to the final plan of the Bridges of River Mist Phase 2, approved by Ordinance 97-110 to allow a modular classroom at Gwendolyn Brooks Elementary, 3225 Sangamon Road, as shown on the attached Exhibit A, subject to the following condition. 1. The modular classroom may remain on the site in the location as shown on Exhibit A for no more than 3 years of the date of approval of the ordinance granting the amendment and shall, on or before said date, be removed from the property.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from O'Flaherty. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a second from Pena Graham. Clerk, please call the roll.
Becker,
Yes.
O'Flaherty,
Yes.
Pena Graham,
Yes.
Stoker,
Yes.
Wright, Maxwell, Vice Chair McMahon,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you. Okay, the next public hearing that we have on the agenda tonight is a public hearing, a petition by Proper Hospitality Group LLC, represented by Peter Panages, for approval of a special use permit for a drive-through restaurant for the site at 922 South Fourth Street.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Peter Panagakis, representing Proper Hospitality Group, and I am here petitioning, requesting the Planning and Zoning Commission to consider reuse of a special use permit for the drive-through at 922 South 4th Street. We purchased the building in September of 21. The building is completely cleaned out currently. We emptied it out. It is consisting of cement block, walls, steel beam roofing, and brick exterior. Our plans are to improve and update the existing building and property, and make use of the drive-through in a limited ability. Anna's drive-through will be, Anna's sandwich shop will be family-owned and operated. The hours of operation, we're planning on Monday through Saturday. Light lunch, 10:30 to 8 p.m. We are closed on Sundays and holidays is what we're planning. Indoor seating capacity will consist of 40 seats. Outdoor dining will be available. The drive-through window will not be your typical drive-through. It'll be a mobile pickup and a carry-out pre-order pickup window is what we have planned for. And what else can I tell you? The menu will consist of a fresh kitchen, handcrafted sandwiches that are hot. We'll have subs. We'll have a hot plate, salads, craft sodas, specialty coffees and teas. Catering and delivery will be available.
Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
Do we have a staff report?
Yes. We did get a revised plan since the posting of the agenda. We got that Friday, which I'll go over. But Peter went through what they're requesting. So this is good news. The former KFC restaurant was at this location, closed in 2009. Coming back for a special use permit for a drive-through. Drive-through is a special use in our commercial districts. This is zone general or light commercial. And so we would look for in the drive-through, and we met with Peter a few times and went through a couple of revisions and came up with a plan that is shown here. Now there's a slight revision in your packet. It's this minor details or notes on the plan, actually only difference. But the access into the site on the south end of the building, one way around here, here's a menu board, and this will be a mobile pickup, not your typical drive-through, but they like the drive-through approval in case they do go to a regular drive-through in the future. And they have a bypass lane, and then they've added, we'll restripe the parking lot to have diagonal here, one-way traffic. They're going to remove the access from the alley, which is they do have now, that will be taken out. We suggested that. The alley's really just for residents and garbage trucks, basically. We didn't want delivery trucks, et cetera, going back there. So there'll be a 6-foot-high site-proof fence along the lot line. To avoid that, they'll add landscaping around the perimeter of the site. They'll save some of the trees at this northeast part of the property. Exit will be through on the north side of the building. And Peter's mentioned the hours, the type operation. There was a few on the site plan we got. There was some more clarification. There's actually 39 seats that indicates, and the parking's based on number of seats and the number of employees on the maximum shift. So there's actually 8 projected employees on the max shift. So that's 21 required parking spaces. They have 24 on the site. So there's adequate parking based on our UDO. The building will be, the brick will be cleaned. They'll add a new wood grain panels to the top portion of the building. The cupola, the old KFC, has actually been removed now. And a small vestibule tower will be added to the southwest corner of the building. We are recommending, due to the proximity to homes to the east and south, recommend the hours operation be between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. And Peter's agreed to that condition. So anytime between that, they can operate. Any special use, we have the findings of fact, which they're listed in the report. We're looking at if it meets all the requirements of the UDO, which it does. Compatibility with the neighborhood. It's like commercial zoning. There's a variety of other commercial uses along South 4th Street. Daycare center, offices, restaurant, gas station, a bank, video gaming cafe, auto-related uses, outside storage. So this is compatible with the surrounding area. This will kind of help the area, which needs some assistance in terms of additional businesses out there. It's meeting the recommendations of the 2005 plan and also the 2020 plan, which we're working on. There's adequate stacking for the drive-through. We require 5 stacking spaces in the UDO. They have that. They have adequate parking. They're meeting the landscape standards. Improving the site, there'll be an outdoor patio area to the south and east of the building shown on the site plan. And the adequate utilities are already provided to the site. So the special use will be compatible with the surrounding area, meets the comp plan, and be a welcome addition to the South 4th Street corridor. We did receive a few public comments. There's Street View a few months back, showing the view from South 4th Street. That's from the alley looking to 4th Street. And I put this area up just to show location of some of the residents who did comment. I appreciate those. Stephanie Ness, 932 South 5th Street, had questions regarding the hours of operation and signage, and I responded back. And the copies of all these are in your packet, noting what the hours would be, and the signage has to meet the ordinance, and that's the sign will be compatible with the signs in the rest of 4th Street. Mr. Glenn Miller, 1004 South 4th Street, submitted a public response form noting concerns about, he had a concern about the noise, external speakers, any noise coming from the site. Want to make sure that was low. There were some other issues, I guess, with the gas station or other uses in that area about noise, but I don't know if there would be a menu board to start. There'll be no music coming from the building or anything.
We don't
so.
plan on it currently,
Yeah.
no.
Noel Jacobson, 424 Culver Street, submitted an email expressing support for the request. And finally, Tom Winkle and Lorraine Skirty of 834 Leonard Avenue. They're actually we're up north of Taylor Street, not on this, but they sent an email in favor of the petition and said they'd love to see a new business on the south side of DeKalb. So we strongly recommend approval of the drive-through with the one condition. I did redo the sample motion based on the revised plan that's on your desk tonight. So that's a sample motion to look at. It has the date of the new site plan, revised one, 7/13/22, and the building elevation dated 5/11/22. And the one condition, all the other comments, staff comments were addressed in the revision. So just the hour restrictions between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Is there anybody from the public that has questions about this? Okay. Does anybody from the commission have questions for Peter or for Dan?
No, just a comment. It'd be nice to see something go in there. That we've
Thank
been
you.
making for so
Yes.
long.
We feel the same, thank you.
I noticed, what is, so limited drive-through, limited availability, does that mean you are not gonna take orders through a loudspeaker?
So I believe since that printing, we kind of reworded it. What we meant was mobile order pickup, call ahead pickup, third-party delivery pickup. They'll just come up to the window, announce who they are. There's not going to be any reciprocation back and forth as what would you like with that order or any specifics with an order. It'll just simply be a pickup window is the plan.
So would there be a need for a speaker and a menu in the back?
We will need a speaker, obviously, because that'll be the communication back and forth. As far as the menu board, if we do place one out front, it'll just be for somebody to read, and then we'll direct them into the building.
Very good. Very good. It seems like most of the concerns I see from that were submitted they've been addressed. think it would be great to have something in that building.
Thank you.
All these years.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Peter? If there are no questions, does anybody want to go ahead and make a motion? The good news is it's a much smaller motion than what we usually got.
Sure. Based upon the submitted petition, testimony presented, and findings of fact, I move the Planning and Zoning Commission forward its findings of fact and recommend to the City Council approval of a special use permit for a drive-through restaurant located at 922 South 4th Street per the site plan dated 7/13/22 and the building elevation dated 5/11/22 and labeled as Exhibit A. And per the conditions that the hours of operation for the restaurant shall be limited between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m.
We have a motion on the floor from Becker. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Stoker. Clerk, please call the
Just
roll.
clarification, did you ask about any comments from the public, or?
You
You
did.
did,
Great.
okay.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Becker,
Yes.
O'Flaherty,
Yes.
Pena Graham,
Yes.
Stoker,
Yes.
Wright, Maxwell, Vice Chair McMahon,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Peter, good luck.
Look forward to it.
The third item on the new business portion of the meeting tonight is a minor subdivision. Approval of a final plat submitted by James Planey, Midland Trust for SV CSG DeKalb South Subdivision, north side of Gorilla Road, east side of South First Street.
Good evening. I'm Bill French. I'm Regional Director of Project Development for Sunvest Solar. Our work address is 330 West State Street, Suite 1, Geneva, Illinois, 60134. Unfortunately, Mr. Planey is unable to make it this evening, so I'm going to pinch hit for him. He's not feeling well. He's under the weather, so hopefully he gets well soon. Here, simply seeking the final plat of subdivision. This is for our solar project, which we intend to go under construction either late August or early September. This is a requirement of the ordinance that the city approved for this project, which was to have us subdivide it so that we can develop the solar on the south end, and then Mr. Planey would have the balance of the property for potential future development. It's really about what it is we're here for. I did just want to read a letter from Mr. Planey. He wanted us to add this to the record. He said, "I wish to thank the City Council, Mayor, and City Manager for their support of my project, along with the folks from Sunvest. My sincere thanks to Dan Olson and the city's team for their time and effort spent on this project since we started it in 2018. They treated it as if it were the most important one at hand, although there were others much bigger. They were also tireless in answering my many professional questions. Thank you. DeKalb continues to be a great place to do business, in addition to going to NIU, which he was a graduate of NIU. Jim Planey. But I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
All right, well, thank you, Bill.
Yes, just briefly, Chair, as Mr. French mentioned, there was a solar farm approved, rezoning in February 2021 for the south part of the site. So the applicant would like to do a one-lot subdivision of 23 acres. The whole site's 36.3 acres, so he owns the area north of it too, but didn't want to subdivide that now. There's no development proposal yet, so subdividing just a lot for the solar farm will allow the project to go forward. And then when additional use north, the undivided part comes in, they'll come back with the re-subdivision, and then they'll have to extend utilities to that particular use. But since utilities are not needed in terms of water or sewer for the solar farm, they're just doing the one-lot subdivision. So all comments have been addressed. There's a few minor, more labeling issues that need to be cleared up before recording of the plat, but the staff's looked at it and meets all their requirements. So there's a sample motion approving this plat, and then subject to all staff comments being addressed prior to the recording of the plat.
Okay. Is there any questions for Mr. French or for Dan over here from the commission? All right. Seeing none, does anybody want to make a motion?
I will. I move that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of the final plat for SVCSG DeKalb South Subdivision dated 6/27/22, prepared by Wendler Engineering Services as shown on Exhibit A, subject to all staff comments being addressed prior to recording of the plat.
We have a motion on the floor from Stoker. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a second from Pena Graham. Clerk, please call the roll.
Becker,
Yes.
O'Flaherty,
Yes.
Pena Graham,
Yes.
Stoker,
Yes.
Wright, Maxwell, Vice Chair McMahon,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank
We're
you.
excited to get going.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. That concludes our new portion, piece of the meeting. Are there any staff reports today?
Yeah, just mention our next meeting will be August 1st. We have one project. You got a link to that item. That's called Project Wildcat. It's a large project, 160 acres northwest corner of Peace Road and Gerler Road. What's proposed is a $1.25 million square foot Phase 1 building. This will be a distribution, packing, and storage company. Then also Phase 2, which has a 565,000 square foot building and potential 435,000 square foot building in the future. There's a comment substation on the site too, so it's got to be annexed, so the hearing on the first will be subject to annexation, a rezoning, which the commission look at, and a preliminary site plan also be under review. That's one hearing we have August 1st. On August 15th, second meeting in August, which will be at the police department, because the city council has scheduled some budget meetings with the finance advisory committee, and they'll be meeting here. So August 15th, we'll have the hearing on the comp plan. We're going to have that the 15th. We just concluded our second open house on the comp plan last Thursday night. Very well attended, really good discussion. So we're going to take all those comments. They'll be provided to the commission. We're making a few revisions, so that hearing will be August 15th. We'll also have a hearing from Sunvest, actually, on their solar farm on Pleasant Street by the airport for that zoning process there. Those will be the two hearings for August 15th. Just a note, we're going to, I think I talked about before, we'll send calendar invites to the commission members about a week before the first meeting of each month, is to have that put on the calendar to the meetings. And Stephanie will be sending those out like a week before the first meeting. We'll just do it a month at a time in case, so we know at that point what meetings are going to be held or not. So, but again, that meeting on the 15th will be at the police department. We'll certainly remind you of that location. So we did that last year too. We'll have a few more probably this fall over at the police, which department works pretty well over there actually. So that's all I had. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Does anybody from the commission, any commissioner have any reports? No? All right. Well, seeing none, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
We have a motion on the floor to adjourn by O'Flaherty. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a second by Pena Graham. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, that's it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.